In the early 20th century, beneath the majestic peaks of Mount Kenya and within the fertile lands of the Central Highlands, a quiet storm had been gathering. The Kikuyu people, who had tilled those lands for generations, watched as their ancestral homes were stripped away, claimed by white settlers under the shadow of British colonial rule. The land that once sang with the rhythms of their ancestors now echoed with the boots of foreign masters. British colonists called it progress. But for the Kikuyu, Meru, Embu, and other African communities, it was theft. Generations of Africans were pushed onto overcrowded reserves, taxed heavily, and turned into laborers on land that had once been their own. Political representation was a distant dream. Their traditions were eroded, their dignity slowly choked under the weight of empire. Then came the whisper of rebellion. It began quietly, in secret meetings held deep in the forests, far from the ears of colonial spies. A name began to spread among the people, Mau Mau. To the British, it was a terrifying mystery. To the African fighters, it was a sacred vow, a secret society bound not just by strategy, but by oaths. Oaths sworn with animal blood, sometimes even human blood. Oaths that bound men and women to the cause of freedom, no matter the cost. In 1952, the storm broke. A senior colonial officer, Chief Waruhiu, was assassinated in Nairobi. It was the spark the British needed. They declared a state of emergency. But what they didn't realize was that this was no fringe group. It was a movement, one that had already taken root in the forests of Aberdare and Mount Kenya, and in the hearts of thousands of young Africans who were ready to fight. The Mau Mau fighters, mostly Kikuyu, vanished into the forests. They wore little more than tattered clothing, armed with homemade guns, machetes, and the unrelenting belief that Kenya would be free. They knew the terrain better than the colonial troops. They struck with guerrilla precision, ambushing settler homes, sabotaging infrastructure, and killing those viewed as collaborators. But the British hit back hard. Over the next 8 years, they launched one of the most brutal counterinsurgencies in colonial history. They built detention camps, hundreds of them. More than 1 million Kikuyu were forcibly relocated into fortified villages, watched by armed guards and surrounded by barbed wire. Many were tortured, others were executed. The colonial regime called them rehabilitation centers. Survivors called them hell on earth. Inside the camps, beatings were routine: waterboarding, electric shocks, castration, even forced labor. Men were broken, women were violated, families were torn apart. The British wanted to break the Mau Mau spirit, but they couldn't erase the fire. Jomo Kenyatta, future father of Kenya, was arrested and falsely accused of leading the Mau Mau. He denied involvement, but was imprisoned for years. To the world, Kenyatta became a symbol of African nationalism. But in the forests, it was men like Dedan Kimathi, general of the Mau Mau High Command, who became legends. Kimathi, dressed in leopard skin, with dreadlocks and a commanding voice, rallied his fighters with the cry, "Freedom or death." By 1956, the tide had turned. Dedan Kimathi was captured and hanged. The rebellion was militarily crushed. The British had killed over 10,000 Mau Mau fighters. Some estimates say tens of thousands of civilians also died. Fewer than 100 white settlers were killed in return. The cost was staggering. The land was soaked in blood. And yet, the Mau Mau had changed everything. Their defiance shattered the myth of colonial invincibility. It forced Britain to reckon with the costs of empire. The brutality of the crackdown sparked outrage in Britain and around the world. And though the Mau Mau didn't win the war, they made independence inevitable. In 1963, just 7 years after Kimathi's execution, Kenya became a free nation. Jomo Kenyatta walked out of prison and into the office of Prime Minister. But the story of the Mau Mau? It was buried, called savage, dismissed as terrorism, hidden from school books and censored in public memory. Only decades later did Kenya begin to honor the truth, that these so-called rebels were patriots, that their violence was not senseless but a scream for justice, and that their fight was not in vain. The Mau Mau didn't just rebel against an empire, they lit the fire of African freedom. And though many died nameless in the forest, their spirits still rise with the wind over Mount Kenya, whispering the one word they fought for: Uhuru, freedom.
For more videos like this, please like and subscribe to the channel. It will go a long way in supporting me and letting me know you enjoy my videos. Thank you.